So Einstein, during the derivation for the case of a two-level oscillator, came up with three coefficients which are known as Einstein's coefficients. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about these coefficients. So firstly, what we saw in the previous lecture, that there is a two-level oscillator. So there is a lower level and then is the upper level or the excited level. There are some atoms present in the lower level and there are some atoms present in the upper level. Now the lower level has energy state EA and this excited state has energy EB. Now let's say there are n1 number of atoms present in this lower level per unit volume. So in unit volume there are n1 number of atoms present in this lower level, and similarly n2 number of atoms per unit volume are present in the upper level. So now we will make photons of energy equal to EB minus EA to interact with this system. So we will make some photons whose energy will be equal to EB minus EA to interact with this system. So what will happen? There are three possibilities as we have discussed in the previous lecture. First possibility is that these atoms, some of these atoms in the lower level will absorb the incoming photon and they will go to the excited state. So there will be a transition from the lower level to the upper level after the absorption of the photon of energy which is EB minus EA. So this is the first possibility and that is called as stimulated absorption. Second possibility is that these atoms in the upper level, they spontaneously, or you can say they naturally, go to the ground state and they emit a photon whose energy is equal to EB minus EA. So naturally these atoms in the upper level, they will go to the ground state. So this excited state has some lifetime. So up to that time the excited atoms can stay in this level. So these atoms, they will go to the ground state after by the emission of a photon, and that is called as spontaneous emission. Now the third possibility is that the incoming photon will trigger the atom in the excited state, and while doing so this atom will go to the ground state with the emission of a photon, and the incoming photon which triggered this atom at the first place, the incoming photon that triggered this atom will go as it is. So the work of the incoming photon is just to trigger this atom so that it will go to its ground state. So there will be two photons which will be emitted in this case. So this is the process which is known as stimulated emission, and in the case of lasers, this stimulated emission is the most important process, or you can say this is the only process that is important to us in case of laser. And we make some arrangements so that the stimulated emission, the rate of stimulated emission is the highest as compared to the other two transitions, so that we achieve the principle on which the laser is based, and that is amplification. So in laser, what do we need? We need a highly intense light as well as we need a light which is highly directional, and it has high monochromaticity and is highly coherent. So these all things are obtained only in the case of stimulated emission. So what do we want is, we want to increase the rate of stimulated emission, or you can say we want to increase the probability of stimulated emission. So we will see how can we increase the rate of stimulated emission. So firstly, the rate of absorption per unit volume, as we have also seen in the previous lecture, that the rate of absorption is directly proportional to the number of atoms which are present in the lower level. So absorption takes place from the first level to the excited level. So more the number of, if there are some atoms present, only then absorption can take place, and these atoms, they will go to the upper level. So this rate of absorption is directly proportional to the number of atoms present in the lower state. So rate of absorption per unit volume is directly proportional to number of atoms present in this lower level per unit volume. So this rate of absorption per unit volume is directly proportional to N1. Then in the case of absorption, what happens that there is an incoming photon that interacts with these atoms in the lower level. So the rate of absorption also depends upon the energy density of the radiation at frequency omega. Now what is omega? So h cut omega is the energy which is present in a photon. So h cut omega is the energy of the photon. If this energy is equivalent to EB minus EA, only then absorption can take place. So omega should be an appropriate frequency. So it is EB minus EA divided by h cut. So photons with frequency omega will only these photons, the photons with frequency omega, only these photons will interact with this oscillator, because h cut omega is exactly equal to the difference in the two levels. So only then transition can take place. So this rate of absorption depends upon the energy density of these photons at frequency omega. So more the number of photons present, obviously more absorption will take place. So this is directly proportional to U of omega. Now U of omega is the energy density of the radiation at frequency omega. So this is a proportionality. So rate of absorption is proportional to N1 as well as is proportional to U of omega. So when you will remove this proportionality sign, so you will include a proportionality constant, and that is, in this case of rate of absorption, we write this constant as B12. So we have written 1 and 2 because in the case of absorption, the atom goes from the lower level, or you can say the first level, to the second level. So therefore we write it as B12. And this B12, it represents the transition probability. It is the probability, transition probability per unit time for the case of absorption, or you can say stimulated absorption. So B12 is the transition probability per unit time for stimulated absorption to occur. And this B12 is one of the Einstein's coefficients. So this is known as Einstein's coefficients. Now U of omega, as I have already said, it is the energy density of the incident radiation at frequency omega. So it is the energy density of the incident radiation at frequency omega. Now next is, we want to find the rate of spontaneous emission. Spontaneous emission is that when the atom from the excited state, they spontaneously go to the lower state. So there is no triggering from outside. These atoms, they go to the lower level naturally. So that is the spontaneous emission. So rate of spontaneous emission per unit volume, obviously it will depend upon number of atoms in the excited state. Obviously if there are some atoms present, only then spontaneous emission can occur. More the number of atoms present in the excited state, more will be the rate of spontaneous emission. So rate of spontaneous emission per unit volume depends upon, is directly proportional to N2, which is number of atoms present in the excited level per unit volume. So there will be no U of omega over here because spontaneous emission occurs by its own. This atom, it goes to its ground level. This atom goes to its ground level without any triggering from outside. It goes naturally. So there will be no energy density factor present over here. So there will be just N2. So now we will remove this proportionality and we will insert a proportionality constant, and in the case of this spontaneous emission, we write it as A21. So we write it as A 1 because transition is occurring from the second level to the first level, and N2 will remain as it is. So N2 is the number of atoms in the excited state per unit volume. So this will give us the rate of spontaneous emission per unit volume, and here A21 is, it is the transition probability. It is the transition probability, like B12 was the transition probability. It was the probability per unit time for stimulated absorption to occur. Similarly, A21 is the transition probability per unit time for spontaneous emission to occur in the medium. So in the case of laser, as I have already said, we use a gain medium. So this gain medium, it can be a gaseous medium, it can be a semiconductor material. So this gain medium is responsible, only in this gain medium all these three processes will occur. So these probabilities, these transition probabilities per unit time for the occurrence of spontaneous emission, for the occurrence of stimulated absorption, they are for the case of this gain medium, because only due to this gain medium, only in this gain medium, the photons are emitted, and the photons that we see outside the laser, these photons are generated inside this gain medium only. So next is the rate of stimulated emission per unit volume. So this will depend upon, it will be directly proportional to the number of atoms in the excited state, because stimulated emission occurs from the upper level to the lower level. So more the number of atoms present in the excited level, more will be the rate of stimulated emission. So it is directly proportional to N2, as well as in the case of stimulated emission, there is interaction of photon with the atom. So it will depend upon U of omega. So the absorption process depends upon U of omega. Spontaneous emission, it does not depend upon U of omega. It is independent of the energy density. Then this stimulated emission, it depends upon this energy density of the radiation at frequency omega. So we will remove this proportionality sign and we will write it as B21. So B21, because transition is occurring from the second level to the first level, and other factors, they will remain as it is. So this B12, A21 and B21, these three coefficients, these are termed as Einstein's coefficients. So this B21, it gives us the transition probability per unit time for stimulated emission. For stimulated emission to occur, what is the probability per unit time? That represents B21. So these are the three rates of the transitions that can occur inside the gain medium. So now we are looking at the thermal equilibrium, because the gain medium, it will be kept at a particular temperature. So now we are looking at the thermal equilibrium. So at thermal equilibrium, what will happen? At thermal equilibrium, now as in the case of black body, you have already studied that in the case of black body, the rate of absorption is equal to the rate of emission. So in this case also, the rate of absorption must be equal to the rate of emission. So there are two emission processes that are present and one absorption process. So at thermal equilibrium, that is at a particular constant temperature, the rate of absorption must be equal to the total rate of emission. Or you can say rate of absorption per unit volume should be equal to the rate of emission per unit volume. So what is rate of absorption? That is equal to B12 N1 U of omega. So this is the rate of absorption per unit volume. Then rate of emission is comprised of two rates. One is this spontaneous emission and another is stimulated emission. So it will be the summation of these two factors. So the rate of emission will be equal to A21 N2, this factor, plus B21 N2 U of omega. So in this we have used the equation for the case of thermal equilibrium, and all these equations that we are deriving, they are for the case of thermal equilibrium. Now from this equation we will take out this factor u of omega on one side. This u of omega is the energy density, and in the case of black body radiation also you have seen the equation of the energy density. So in this case also we are going to take this energy density factor on one side. So from here you will get B12 N1 u of omega minus of B21 N2 u of omega. Actually what we want to find out is we want to find out the relation of these Einstein's coefficients. So we will see that how these coefficients they are related to each other. So A21 into N2 will remain as it is. So from here we will take out this u of omega. So u of omega will be equal to A21 N2, this will remain as it is, whole divided by, so u of omega can be taken common. So this will be equal to B12 N1 minus B21 N2. And now the next step will be to divide this numerator by N2 as well as denominator by N2. So when you will divide the numerator by N2, you will just get A21, and we are dividing the denominator also by N2. So what you will get is, you will get B12 as it is, N1 will remain as it is, divide by N2, because we are dividing all these terms in the denominator by N2. So N1 will remain as it is, B12 as it is, divide by N2 minus B21, and N2 and N2 they will cancel with each other. So this is the equation that we have got for the case of energy density. Now we are going to find out the relation of N1 by N2. N1 by N2 from Boltzmann law. So u of omega we have already got. The relation of u of omega is A21 divide by N1 divide by N2 into B12 minus B21. So this is the relation that we have got. Now we will use the Boltzmann law. Now if we have various energy levels, so let's say there is some medium and there are some atoms present, and the atom has various energy levels. So the medium is kept at a particular temperature. Let's say it is kept at capital T. Now the energy levels inside the medium will be occupied by various atoms. So some atoms will be in the lower state, some will be in the excited state, some will be in the second excited state, and so on. So the number of atoms at each energy level. So let's say if this energy level has energy equal to E, and let's say there are n atoms present in this energy level. So this E energy state is occupied by n atoms. So Boltzmann, he gave a relation that the number of atoms that occupy a particular energy state at temperature T is given by, the number of atoms is proportional to E power minus E by kBT, where kB is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature, E is the energy of this level, and N is the number of atoms that are occupying this particular energy level. So number of atoms that occupy a particular energy level is proportional to E power minus the energy of that energy state divided by kBT. So kB is the Boltzmann constant. So this is the Boltzmann law. But now in our case, what do we have? We have N1 and we have N2. So in our case, what do we have? We have two energy states. One is given by EB energy level and another is EA. And there are N2 number of atoms present, and over here we have N1 number of atoms present. So in this case, what do we get? We will get N1 is, So in our case, we will get N1 is directly proportional to, using this Boltzmann law, N1 will be directly proportional to e power minus the energy of the level. The energy of the level is EA. So it will be e power minus EA divided by kBT. And similarly, we will get N2 is directly proportional to e power minus EB divided by kBT. So now what do we want? We want N1 divided by N2. So we want N1 divided by N2. So there will be some proportionality constant, and when you will take the ratio, they will cancel with each other. So this will be equal to e power minus EA divided by kBT divided by e power minus EB divided by kBT. So now you will take this factor in the denominator into the numerator. So you will take this on the upper side. So this will be equal to e power minus EA divided by kBT into e power EB divided by kBT. So when you will club the powers, you will get e power minus, or you can say e power EB minus EA. So EB minus EA divided by kBT. And this EB minus EA, this is nothing but equal to, this difference in energy levels is equal to h cut omega. So this difference is equal to h cut omega, and that we have already seen. So EB minus EA is equal to e power h cut omega, or you can simply write h nu. So in some books this derivation is done in terms of nu. So in terms of h cut omega you can write simply h nu, and in some books it's written in the form of omega. So this will be equal to e power h cut omega divided by kBT. So N1 divided by N2 will be equal to e power h cut omega divided by kBT. So from here, this ratio, let's insert this ratio over here in the formula of u of omega. So u of omega will be equal to A21 as it is. This A21 will remain as it is, divided by B12 as it is, and N1 by N2 is e power h cut omega by kBT minus B21. So this is the formula that we have got of energy density for a two-level oscillator at thermal equilibrium. So this is the relation that we have got for the case of two-level oscillator. Now Einstein, he thought that a two-level oscillator can be related to a black body, the oscillators which are present in the black body. Hence the black body radiations are emitted from those oscillators. So Einstein, he related this two-level oscillator with the oscillators in the black body, and hence black body radiations are emitted. So while he was relating, now Planck, he gave another formula of the energy density from the black body radiation. So Planck, he did the another derivation in the case of black body, and he found the formula for the energy density at frequency omega, and the formula is u of omega is equal to h cut omega cube divided by pi square c cube and 1 divided by e power h cut omega by kBT minus 1. So this is the formula that is given by Planck's for the case of energy density, and this is the formula for the case of two-level oscillator. So this is the formula for energy density, and this is also the formula for energy density. So Einstein, he related these two formulas. So when he related these two formulas, he came up with the relation of these various Einstein's coefficients. So from here you can see that over here we have e power h cut omega by kBT minus 1, and over here we have e power h cut omega by kBT minus of this factor. So when he related these two formulas, he saw that this B12 must be equal to B21, so that we can take it common in the denominator, and we will have e power h cut omega by kBT minus 1 in the denominator of this formula. So B12 must be equal to B21. So what are the results that Einstein got? That B12 must be equal to B21. So these are nothing but the probabilities per unit time. So this is an important formula, that B12 must be equal to B21. And if B12 is equal to B21, so let's say this is equal to capital B. So B12 is equal to capital B and B21 is equal to capital B. So this formula will become A21 divided by capital B. This will be equal to capital B and this will also be equal to capital B. So that can be taken common. So you will have e power h cut omega by kBt minus 1. So from here, in this formula, we have A21 divided by capital B. And over here, we have this factor, extra factor, h cut omega cube divided by pi square c cube. So when you will relate these two formulas, you will get A21 divided by capital B. A21 divided by capital B is equal to this factor, which is h cut omega cube divided by pi square c cube. So you just have to relate these two formulas. So first you will relate these two formulas and then you will relate these two formulas. So you will get the relation of the three Einstein coefficients. So over here we have B12 is equal to B21. So B12 is nothing but the probability of stimulated absorption from first level to the second level. So this is the probability of stimulated absorption, and this B21 is the probability of stimulated emission. So at thermal equilibrium, so this whole derivation has been done at thermal equilibrium. So at thermal equilibrium, the probability of stimulated absorption is exactly equal to that of the stimulated emission. And the ratio of A21, which is the probability of spontaneous emission, to any of these two coefficients, that is capital B. So you can also write it as B21 or you can also write it as B12 because they both are equal. So this ratio is equal to h cut omega cube divided by pi square c cube. So these are very important relations and this is also a very important derivation that we have done.